Welcome back, guys, and today we've got the new name. You are entering the Apex. So, you know what to do. Alright, so we did not pick a name out of that long list of names you guys suggested, and I would apologize for that, but we really needed something that was very neutral, but still associated with knives, gear, and all the other stuff. So Apex was the consensus, and that's what it is, the Apex. But the format hasn't changed, so we're going to jump right into sharp news. Oh, and by the way, you're going to want to stick around through this one. I think you just want to stick around. But anyhow, blog and print news. Over at Knife News, we have Zero Tolerance discontinuing 4 models. And this time with the discontinuing of these 4 models, most of them have been marked down at all the major retailers. So you want to go find out which models they are, and you may want to go check prices on those guys. And then we have How the Grinch Stole National Knife Day. You just have to go read that one. And Flippy knife is off to a good start. It's kind of a neat little phone game. I've played it a little bit. If you're into physics-based type games, you may want to give it a try. And then for videos, we have Kevin Cleary with the 7 Habits of the Highly Effective Knife Guy, and Jim Skelton this week makes his first appearance here, talking about the Liong Maw Cuff. If you don't know what that is, you probably ought to go watch Jim's video. And then Canadian Cutting Edge, another new one for us, hits us up with a review of the Boker Urban Trapper. And, I've reviewed that knife. You guys know how much I like that little guy. It's a nice little light-duty gentleman's carry knife, and you really need to go and see what Jake has to say about it. And then from Cedric and Ada Outdoors, as always, we have the Viper Keeper. And that's an interesting knife that you may want to get a look at. And then from old Nick Shabazz, we have the Citadel Black Knife Oil. That's black knife oil. But the knife oil didn't look black. Anyhow, Nick's got a little quick Shabazz review about it. And he also has a story of a plastic Sebenza. Yep, I'm not joking. You'll want to go watch that one. And then from Simple Little Life, you're going to want to go, if you are a paracord guy, you're going to want to go watch this, because Jeremy puts some of that Paratinder to the test, and you're going to want to see how that turns out. And then from Staza23, he has looked at the Stedemon BP02, and he's got some interesting things to say about that knife, so you're going to want to check that one out too. And like I said, you're going to want to stick around, because this is the first of the Apex, and we're going to do a giveaway, and I'm going to try to make that a more regular thing on this show. We kind of fell off from doing the giveaways a few months ago because my life got so crazy busy, but we're going to try to get back to it. And this week, we are giving away a knife that I made. It's a RP1 model. I'll bring you in and the camera down, and we'll get a good look at it. And there it is, guys, our RP1. Let's get a look at it real quick. We've got a piece of heavily acid stone washed 1095. We've got paper micarta scales and some really nice fasteners to hold those scales in place. And overall, it's just a pretty nice little knife. I did a halfway decent job on this one, guys. And the way that you win this little guy is by putting RP1 before any comments you make below. RP1 first, then you can say whatever you want. And that'll get you in the contest if you are 18 years of age or older, a subscriber to this channel, and you have a U.S. mailing address. So those are the things: 18 years of age or older, U.S. mailing address, and put RP1 down below before any comments you might make. And I will do the draw next Tuesday. The video won't come out till Wednesday, so About 9 a.m. Tuesday morning will be the cutoff as far as getting entries in. And you will get one of my crappy sheaths and the knife. So there you go. Now I'm going to get my hands out of the way and we'll move along with the rest of the video. Alright guys, today we don't really have a question. We've got, I guess, a Zell's knife gripe, and no, I'm not Nick. Don't try to make me Nick, because I'm not Nick. I'm Zell, and we're talking about screws. And keep your head above water here, everyone. We're talking about the little metal pieces that hold together your knife. And first off, I want to talk about the two major issues that affect us in the knife world when it comes to screws. First up, we have this CRKT Amicus that CRKT hasn't sent me any parts for yet, and probably won't ever send me any parts for. And here on this end of it, we have this T8 torque screw for the pivot. Now get a look at that thing. Kind of looks more round than it does torquey, doesn't it? Well, yeah, it does. And, well, we have a T8 here, which is what it's supposed to be. Let's stick this T8 down in there and see what we get. Well, you stick that T8 down in there. We've got some wiggle, maybe a little more than normal. That's not good. But, oh, if we can see this real well or not, try to watch right there. Because as that moves, that bit is moving up and down, which means that the floor of that was not a floor of this Torx recess was not broached out properly, or whatever they did to machine it out. So this screw is going to be a problem, and on top of it, it's soft. So what you end up with a soft screw that doesn't fit very well, because that's the other thing, as much wiggle as that had in it, it makes you think, well, maybe I need a T9 instead of a T8. So we have a T9 here. Let's see if it fits. Well, it damn near fits, but now it's not going to go quite deep enough. So it's definitely supposed to be T8. And the problem here is we have a soft screw that's not fitted very well, and it's got a shallow recess that's got a kind of a bumpy thing down at the bottom of that recess, and that causes for stripped screws. And that's awful. We don't want to have stripped screws. But we can go the other way too. We have this Cara 2, and believe it or not, it has considerably harder screws in it than the Amicus. And, well, they look like they're cut decent. Well, let's try. That's also a T8. Let's stick a T8 in there. It's not very deep, and it's still got that little raise whenever I move the screw back and forth. It's just... So what is this going to cause? Well, the T8 is probably going to be fine, but whenever we get down here to these T6s, which are very much the same, and very shallow is the problem here, what this is going to cause is the twisted tip on your Torx bit, because the screws are harder, and if there's any Loctite down in here, and you've got that shallow recess, that equals twisted Torx bit. So what has been done to combat this? Well, knife companies have a couple of ways to deal with this. One, spend more money on screws and set your screw specs. You know, anytime you want a screw, you need to have a list of qualifications for that screw. You can't just say, well, I'll take whatever's there. Whatever you got in the bin over there that's in the right size. Because, you know, there's different pitches, there's different grades, there's all these things when it comes to screws. And you want a grade A screw, because you don't want to spend the rest of your life with a grade C. That just would not be fun, and yeah, it'd be high maintenance, and, well, you know what I'm saying. So some of the budget knife companies are getting better grade screws. Reich is a good example. Reich has nice deep recesses in their screws, and they're cut well. So that means that they have ordered up a better grade of screw. You know, I'm not deep into screw grades, so I don't know what they all are. We'd have to talk to somebody who was, anyhow. Another one, even though I don't like what they did with the handle here, still looks lazy, guys. But I am looking forward to the sheep's foot whenever it comes out because it's got a better design here. And the knife design overall is wonderful. But same thing here. They went a little bit shallow, but they've got nice hard screws that are cut really, really well. And because of that, because of them being cut well, they can be a little bit shallow. But you stick your driver in here and you feel like that driver's locked in. You don't feel like that driver is going to come apart on you or come out of the hole. And that's the whole thing. The other thing that companies have done is go to Allen screws. Hinderer does this. In fact, they use some Phillips, some Allen, and a flat screwdriver. But with this Chris Reeve small Sebenza, here's something I want you to see. This thing is going to drop in here. I don't know if you can see that or not. Try that again. That thing goes in way deep. I measured it earlier and the calipers turned off, but that's how deep that guy went in there. That's nuts. And it's not just the body screws. Let's go up here and do the same thing with the pivot screw. Even our screw back here is pretty deep, even though that's a really short screw. And why do they do that? So that you don't mess up screws. And it's for you. It's actually for them too. Then they don't have to replace screws, which is beautiful. But, I could care less about that. It's really for me, so I don't have to replace screws and I don't have to deal with the customer service mess. So what brought all this up? Well, it's been brewing in me for quite a while. Cheap, soft screws are awful. And hard, not so well fitted screws are tedious and a pain in the butt. And we is the cause of this whole talk. Whenever they came out with the Blitz, which I just got these day before yesterday, I want you to get a good look at this knife. Yep, you asked for it, they did it. We have torque screws. And not only do we have torque screws, they are all T8. Joe and the gang over there are listening. They did not go with a bunch of T6s and other crazy sizes. They're all T8 and good quality T8. They're not the deepest screws I've ever used, but they do have good bite. And it looks like they're made out of good hard material. We'll find out for sure very soon whenever we take this whole knife apart. But I've had the Balanoptera apart, which has the same hardware in it. And it was fine. We don't have any of that jump up on the, or rise on the Torx driver. They've done it right. They've done it well. Now these are stainless steel screws. They are not titanium. And I'm not upset about that. Stainless steel screws give you, especially in the price point they're looking at here, gives you probably a longer lasting screw. And titanium is not really necessary unless we're going for weight and a screw that's less likely to break several things. Stainless steel is just good for that. But guys, what are your thoughts on all this? We've talked before about Spyderco and the soft or the shallow screws that they use on some of their budget knives. And it's not just the budget companies. Occasionally you run across a higher end company. Boker's bad about this with their Boker Plus line. Having screws in a knife that's going to cost you $80, $100, $150 that are junk. And that is bothersome. The screws are important, just like they are in your regular everyday life. They hold everything together, and they've got to be good. Because if you get a cheap screw, well, you're just screwing yourself. Anyhow, guys, you all have a wonderful day. Let me know what you think about the screws. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. And I'll see you next time.